PJNET Live, starting a new week, Monday night, March 16th, 2020. And we are streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're running a bumper. We've got people in the chat room waiting. So let's switch to Studio 6 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, good evening, and it's a brand new week here on PJNET.TV. I am glad to see everybody here. I am certainly glad you're here, and we are looking forward to a great week, but we are off to an incredibly crazy start. First of all, I want to extend a special PJNet shout-out word of thanks to Doug Carter, the guest, Craig Von Busek, that many of you have seen in the promos and such. He made the arrangements to have Craig appear tonight. But there's a problem. Craig contacted me over 30 minutes ago, and his car is broke down on the side of the road. And it won't go anywhere. He is awaiting a tow truck. And by the time it gets there, well, it's too late. So we are getting that rescheduled, and we will let you know. We're looking forward to seeing him. I look forward to reading the rest of his book. I wore myself out last night reading 257 pages of it in one sitting. That's the kind of book it is. So maybe you'd be interested in the miraculous rebirth of the nation of Israel. And forget the title of the book. Okay, let me tell you something that you would never know because she would never say. But two things about, we've got a lot of special people here. And I've mentioned one. I will mention another. Several weeks ago, one of our own, Rachael, contacted me and offered to be available on a moment's notice to fill in anytime that eventuality came to be. So, about 30 minutes ago, I contacted Rachael and said, knock, knock. Here you are. One other thing before I bring her on. I was up at the North Carolina Christian Writers Conference, and actually Barbara was with me. We were driving back to our campsite where my wife and I were staying to pick up some extra gear that probably that I forgot. My phone rings, it's Rachael. And usually when my phone rings, it's because someone needs something. They are in need of some fix that I can provide, or at least they think that I can. So I said, well, Rachael, what can I do for you? And she said, nothing. I've just been praying for you, and I wanted you to know. That's the kind of people we got here, folks. There's Rachael, my hero. You're like my guardian angel out there, surrounding me and PJNet.TV with prayer. Rachael, you're a special person. I really do appreciate you, and I appreciate your willingness to just do this on such short notice. So, what do you want to talk about? You had something prepared, right? When you made that offer, right? You had a sort of... Yeah, right?
No.
No,
This is actually... This is so far out of my comfort zone, out of the normal. I just thought it was something I need to throw out there to you.
Okay. Well,
I'm terrified when I'm prepared. So.
Rachael, let me tell you something. I serve as what they call pulpit supply. And what that means is if the pastor wakes up sick or some other providential hindrance happens, they can call me and I can go preach at a church. So what I do, Rachael, is I have 2 sermons always ready to go. Now, I have never needed the second one because no church has ever asked me back. So
You just preach the same one over and over again, Coach. Come on.
No, they just don't ask me back. The first one, I say the things the preacher would like to say but can't, or shouldn't, or perhaps he should. I don't know.
Sounds like a good sermon.
That's a sermon in and of itself. It sure is. So, hey, I was looking over your blog last week, when did that come out? About not even a week ago, was it?
Saturday.
Saturday? Okay. And that blog...
Saturday at 4:30 in the morning, I think, something like that.
Oh, yeah, I was up waiting on it. I was. Folks, if you want to read everything, you can find it on Rachel's website, Tattoo It on Your Heart. Now, tattoo has 3 T's in it, right?
Yes. Yes. It does. And next time, I think you should make the middle T bigger, and because it's supposed to be the 3 T's, like on the cross. So
I don't have a lot of fonts here in this fancy software. I mean, it'd be nice to put a graphic in the middle. Put the 3, crosses like that.
I'm just teasing you.
You can't stay here, Rachel. You must move onward. Whether you're happy, you can't stay that way. If you're sad, you can't stay that way.
Yes, sir. So that was. I saw the challenges out there a few years ago, 3 years ago, to pray about a word for the year, ask God for a word for the year, just some sort of direction. And I was kind of afraid to do it because what if he didn't speak to me? But he did. He did. And I've been jotting them down for the last 3 years. And this year it was onward. And I've needed it. And apparently, some other people have too. So, and it doesn't matter whether it's you're on the mountaintop, like the best of times, or the worst of times. You can't stay there, and God still called you to what He called you to. He doesn't recall His calling because of your circumstances that He already knew about. He doesn't disqualify us. Only we can disqualify ourselves, and that would be by not doing what you're called to do. So.
And you also put a couple of video songs. Who were the artists there? I captured one of them and added it to the PJNET playlist, the standby playlist that runs during the day. What caused that? There's 2.
I put a lot of songs. There's 2 songs. Yes, I think in this one. I do a lot of songs in my posts. I listen to music when I write most of the time. I listen to music all the time, even to fall asleep to sometimes, and it really ministers to me. And a lot of times I'll just have a song that goes with a post. And so Ahead of Me by J.J. Weeks Band was one of the songs I put in this one. And then the other ones were Casey and Kelsey.
Mm-hmm. Who are they?
Come thou. Casey and Kelsey. Well, they're who they are. They're amazing singers. Caleb and Casey. I'm sorry. They're part of another band, and I don't have the name in front of me. Unfortunately, if it comes to me, I'll let you know. There was actually 3 songs, and it was "Be Thou My Vision," because it went very well with, Jesus being our vision, what we fix our eyes on, and also having a vision for what He's called us to. And that was one of the scriptures that I had in there, which is Habakkuk 2:2-3, about writing down the vision, and that God will be faithful to what He's told you to do and what He's promised you.
It always pleases me, Rachel, when someone includes Habakkuk in their writing, scripture, presentation, or whatever, because you see, we're going to see Habakkuk in heaven. I want to be able to say, "Oh, hey, yeah, I've read your book." Yeah, so,
You're so funny.
Because nobody reads it. He's one of those, what they call, in the Old Testament, you have the prophets and you have the minor prophets. Now, the other prophets aren't major prophets. I don't know what's up with that. But then in the New Testament, they confused me because we have the apostles and then we have the epistles. And for the longest time, I thought the epistles might be like the wives of the apostles or something. I don't know the technical distinction between an apostle and an epistle. Do you?
Yes, I do. One is a writing and one is a person. And I'm sure you do, Coach. You're brilliant.
What are the epistles?
What are the epistles? They're writing of the apostles. There you go.
Rachel, you really made my day, because I have wrestled with this demon, of knowing what's going on. Hey, gosh, we got people filing in the chat room. See, they all think somebody else is here. Surprise, surprise.
That's
if
why
you
they're showing up.
nobody's
Actually,
nobody's left. No.
I met Craig von Busek at Blue Ridge Red Conference last year.
Okay.
I was actually looking forward to hearing him. So, and I believe the book you're speaking of that he wrote is I think it's Cyrus. I call
Yeah,
it Cyrus.
I am Cyrus. Something.
I am Cyrus. Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, yes.
Uh,
So.
I spoke to him this afternoon. Of course, at that time we were all gung ho to go. It's not very often that I am intimidated by a guest. But I thought this guy's brilliant. I'm not up to speed on this. So he sent me a copy of his book, and we talked. And he said, "You just skim through it, and kind of you get the flavor of it." Well, I started reading it. Well, I couldn't skim through it. I was riveted to this thing. He's a brilliant thinker. I don't know how much work went into that. He told me 5 years, but there's over 1,000 footnotes citing external references in this thing. Can you imagine the amount of work that went into that?
That's kind of mind-bending.
Yeah, and I was talking to him, and I said, this book reminds me of another book I've read, The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. I don't know if you know that book, but it's about that thick. I mean, it's huge. But it's written in a similar way, where they, single out the actors, in the theater of this drama, which is actually historical fact. And I said, "Gosh, it's hard to keep up with." Well, he was so honored that I thought his book. Well, first of all, he was honored that I'd read The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. Not many people have. Because it's unlike other literary stuff that, we talk about a story, and the components of good writing. Rachel, you're an award-winning writer, but how do you make a documentary like that interesting? Have you ever given that any thought?
Well, you tell it as a story, which Dr. Craig von Busek has done. I believe he's literary nonfiction, which means you don't tell it like a documentary. You tell it more as a story, so it's more like a movie on the page than information.
It is a story because not only does he tell the facts, he tells about the persona, the personality characteristics of these actors. How Harry Truman reacted when Roosevelt died, how Harry Truman resisted. He like Moses when God called him. He no, don't want it, ain't doing it, ain't gonna happen. 5 times, yet he was nominated. But you also cite Moses in your blog.
Yes, I do. Well, actually, that was Norma's quote, Norma Poor's quote. One of my 8 other women in my writers group, my online writers group. Yes, because Moses made excuses for not doing what God called him to do because of his limitations, and God is not limited by our limitations, as I said. Norma had said that God doesn't want to hear that. It was interesting because Norma sent me that quote late to include. The quotes in this post from other people are from women in my writers group, and so hopefully people will click over and check out their offerings too, the ones that have sites.
Oh, is that where there's little links where you have a group of work? And so that's actually borrowed from other contributing writers, or kind of.
If it says so. If I reference a Bible story or a scripture and I don't quote it directly, and even when I do quote it directly, I always link into the Bible app or Bible Hub or something so people can see for themselves. And if it says, like in the case of Norma's quote, she had said, "I tend to argue and make excuses for not being obedient, like Moses did when he said I stutter," and God wasn't impressed with that. That doesn't limit God, and like God doesn't know what our hang-ups are, what our shortfalls are, right? And then she said, "But God wants surrendered obedience, like Daniel's obedience to His will and to the little things as well as the big." And she's referring to Daniel, and the lion's den is the story that I linked to there. So
you also mentioned the rock of not Hezekiah. Who was it?
Ebenezer.
Ebenezer.
Samuel.
Yeah,
From Samuel, yes.
I didn't know
That
that
was my
story.
that's I don't believe that for a minute. You're brilliant. You know everything, coach.
Well, if that one came up on a game show, I'm sorry, I would have lost.
That was that's from First Samuel 7:12. And Samuel took a stone and set it up between Mizpah and Shen and named it Ebenezer, saying, "Thus far the Lord has helped us." And oh, how I've needed him. Like I said in my blog
we
post this year, it's been a year of years for sure.
we should have, now you just gave me an idea. The day's coming,
Yes.
folks, when PJNet.TV is not going to be from 9 to 10. Okay? It's going to be from 8 to 10. But then, after that, it's going to be during the daytime. So what we ought to do is get a game show together and have Bible quiz trivia. And, you could win fancy books, or you could win lapel pins from China that are still in quarantine in my garage, or a PJNet.TV. You didn't hear about that?
Well, I thought you were kidding. They're really in quarantine?
Well, no, kinda. I ordered these things to take to the North Carolina Christian Writers Conference, so our team could wear little lapel pins. PJNet.TV, and I was really excited about it. And well, I got a letter about a week or two before the conference saying the order had been delayed due to the coronavirus. In China. I thought, what? Well, as it turns out, so they did not come in time, so we hastily put together these T-shirts. My wife did the work on the little logos and such, and so we kind of used those, sort of. And we had some stickers at the last minute. I ordered some little, like the kind you get, I voted, those little, so we used those to good effect, I think. And anyway, so I get home, so here's this box, that had been delivered while I was gone, and it's from China. Those lapel pins were made in China. And of course, it's got all kind of U.S. customs, and so basically they had quarantined. It wasn't the slowdown in production. It basically was a slowdown. Customs isn't letting stuff in until it's just sat there for a while. And so I thought, well, I don't need them. I did some research, and basically, the virus cannot spread by packaging. If it could, we'd all be dead. But I thought, I have no reason to open it. I'm just going to let it sit there for a couple of weeks in the garage, just fine. That's it.
So where's my sticker, Coach?
I will be sending you a care package because you have cared for PJNet.TV tonight. Okay, I'll say, give me some time to let that quarantine wear off, and I'll send you a lapel pin in case you ever go on again. You can put a little, pin. Okay. I'll even have mine. Gee, we're running. We're about to close in on the finish line here. Several takeaways in your blog. If tell us some of the takeaways. If you want people to read it, after they've read it, what do you want them to realize?
That let Jesus be your enough. Let him carry you through the hard times, and just realizing it. I mean, whatever God's called you to, he's not surprised by the circumstances you encounter along the way. May not be in your time frame, but he still expects you to do the work he's called you to. You're not going to do it on your own strength. It's going to be on his strength. And just to keep going, because the longer you delay, the harder it is to get going again. Mm-hmm. I hadn't put up a new blog post since December. Yes, I've submitted some things, but I just hadn't been able to just pull it together and get that blog post up there. It gets very discouraging, and you just feel like you can't. And so I said, shame tried to hold me down, but God said, rise, just get up and start again, and just do what you're supposed to be doing. And, believe God to help it to encourage people to just keep going, and just remember the vision that God's called you to, and he's there for you, and it's not just about us. The work that you've called to is for others. So it's important that we do it so that the others get what you're supposed to be providing for them. That God's allowing you to provide for them by his grace. So I guess that would be the takeaway. And Ebenezer means stone of help. I don't know if I mentioned that for those who may not know. And
It's
that
in the
he
blog.
is.
Yeah.
Yes, Jesus is that stone of help. So that would be casting your cares and just, and this is a time right now too. For some people, it's a very hard time, we're going through, and just find how you're supposed to navigate the waters in to go to where God's called you to.
You need to go visit the chat room and read some of the stuff that's being said about you. They're very complimentary.
They're very kind. I feel bad. I've been really busy for a couple of days, and so I'd like to answer people properly when I answer them.
Well,
so thank you for the kind comments on Facebook. And
well,
I actually,
a lot of
that's
times,
what I was doing tonight.
I was going to say, you kind of sacrificially jettisoned one of your ministries. Tell us quickly about your little 9 o'clock gig you do on...
Healthy Faith Chat is a Twitter chat. It's interactive, Q&A format. I've been doing it for about 3 years or so, and I lead about once a month on the Monday nights. It's Monday and Thursday nights at 9 o'clock, but you can catch it after and respond and interact afterward. And Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock. Saturday currently is on C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity. You don't have to read the book, but I recommend you do. I cried my way through that book when I read it the first time. And Thursday nights changes. Right now it's on basic Bible doctrine to help young Christians. And Monday night, currently, we're finishing up on evangelism. And I think we have one more chapter after tonight, so hop on out, and that's usually book-based on Monday night. And that is on The Reluctant Evangelist, is the book we're doing right now. But and you can participate with reading the book, and you can participate after the fact also. All welcome.
All you have to do is know the hashtag, go to Twitter, search hashtag, pile on.
Hashtag healthy faith. And then do latest, so that you're seeing the latest of the tweets.
Yeah, the default view in Twitter doesn't show it chronologically. You have to go to latest. Don't you love it? Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, Rachel, thank you for your willingness to first sacrifice your healthy chat for tonight. Also to be on board, on standby. Craig von Busek was very relieved, I think, to know that, well, folks, we run a tight ship here, don't we? We've got the team. We got people standing by. Rachel, I hope that you do this again, but I hope that you have a little bit more than 30 minutes. No, but you did great, Rachel. You did, and you're such a sweetheart. We are very, very blessed to have you as part of the PJNET team, part of our family. You're just wonderful. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your commitment to the kingdom, because that's what we do here. You're a champ, Rachel. I so appreciate you. Thanks.
Thanks for having me, Coach.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Have a good one. All right, folks, we will get Craig von Busek rescheduled, and that will give me time to finish his 400-page book that I was riveted to until 4 a.m. this morning. In just a few moments, PJNet.tv will continue with Casper's Take. He is here, and he wants to talk about how churches have reacted or not reacted or whatever. Folks, this thing is impacting our worship. It really is. And most of the time, most of the news is, not so good, but there is actually some good news in all of this. So we're going to go through all that with Casper at the bottom of the hour. And I'd like to leave you with 2 questions. First question is, what is the boldest thing you've ever done for Jesus Christ, such as being on standby when a guest can't make it? The second question is, when was that? It is my earnest desire that none of us will ever be satisfied with either answer.